Welcome to WP Coffee Talk with your podcast barista, Michelle Frechette. Special thanks to our sponsors, WS Form, WP Explorer, LearnDash, and Sentry Hosting. Michelle Frechette and WP Coffee Talk are proud supporters of Big Orange Heart, whose mission it is to support and promote positive well-being and mental health within remote working communities. Please consider a donation to Big Orange Heart so they can continue to do the amazing work that they do. Welcome to the next episode of WP Coffee Talk. I am your podcast barista, Michelle Frechette, serving up the WordPress stories from around the globe. And today my guest is Mark Westguard from WS Form, founder and CEO. I think that's what your title is. I made it up. If it's not, it sounds good. And Mark, you're coming today from Georgia, I believe, where it's probably a little hotter than it is in Rochester, New York. Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me on WP Coffee Talk.
For the second time.
For the second time. Yeah, take two.
I will 100% own the fact that we did this once before, and as my mother says, it just disappeared off my computer. But as we all know, it's always user error. Somehow I managed to delete the episode before it got put in its proper place. And so I apologize for that, but this will be better. For some reason, it was meant to be, right? So here we are.
It was meant to be, absolutely.
Absolutely. So Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, as you said, I'm the founder of WS Form, which is a WordPress form plugin. I currently live just south of Atlanta, Georgia, in the US. As you can probably tell from my accent, not originally from the US, originally from England. Came over from London in 2005 and been in the WordPress community now for probably about 10 years.
And as anybody who follows me on Twitter knows, you're my WordPress bestie. So we'll be having a lot of fun through the questions today because I will rip you throughout the entire thing. Okay, so show us your mug. Tell us what mug you've got, if there's a history behind it, and what you're drinking this evening.
Well, I've got the one and only WP Coffee Talk mug.
I think you got the last one.
Did I? Yeah. And it's the only coffee cup I would use on this show. So, but I have coffee. I mean, I'm sure you do. You've probably got more WordPress-related coffee mugs than I do. But try to buy a mug that's related to everything that I'm involved in, WP builds, things like that. So that's my mug today, though. Got to be using that one.
Fantastic. Now, you're not drinking coffee at whatever time it is in the afternoon. What are you drinking today?
No, I just have water today. So
water works.
Taking it easy. Although I may replace it with a beer later on, but no, water for now.
Well, I'll show you. My mug of the day is my Stellar WP mug.
WP, yeah.
If I move it in the wrong place, it blurs. So there we go. Stellar WP. It's very good.
Those are the mugs that you were giving away at the recent WordCamp, right?
Yes, these are the mugs we had at WordCamp Montclair. So while I will say they are definitely good for coffee, I am also going to say they are very good for wine, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, I have some mugs that shape for wine, and I agree. They're a good mug to have.
It's also good for iced coffee, so a little cold brew in the morning, a good thing.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you get started with WordPress?
So I've had an agency for about 25, 26 years now. One of those veterans that used to use Netscape Navigator 1, and probably got involved in work, like I said, about 10 years ago. We used to use it as a platform for building websites. So we would build themes from ground up. So mainly because our customers had very specific design requirements. We would maybe work with an agency or with their design team, and WordPress was a great platform for that. So that's how I got involved with it. And over the years, we've used WordPress for all manner of things, everything from simple blog sites for people all the way through to full-scale e-commerce platforms. So just the diversity of stuff that we can build with it has been great. And then eventually decided let's get into the plugin space as well and build a plugin for it. Hence where WS Form was born. That's kind of my history with it. Has been just a natural progression from, we used to build content management systems manually. So we actually had our own content management system. We originally built it for Sony for their website way back in, I think the late 90s. But now having a platform that is established and pre-built and maintained by the community is a lot easier than having to write your own content management system. So
Absolutely. So you have a plugin called WPCoffeeTalk. I have a plugin. So we are practically the same. We're both developers.
exactly.
Mine,
Exactly.
mine is accessible.
Yours is more fun than mine.
Mine scales. And mine does something yours doesn't do. Mine tells you how wonderful you are, but yours does all of the other stuff that we need. So there you go.
I should incorporate your plugin into mine, just so it has that feature. Every time you log in and modify a form, it tells you how great you are.
It's out there in GitHub. It's already been forked at least once, and what can I say? Anyway, so moving right along, what is something that you think when you look at websites, your own and other people's? What's something that you think that we as web designers, developers, web builders don't focus enough attention on that would make websites better for the end user?
I would have to say accessibility. We do a lot of work on accessibility on WS Form, and what I've learned is that accessibility is good for everybody. It's not just good for those that need it. It's generally good just across the board. It's going to make your website easier to use. It's going to make functionality quicker. It's going to improve conversion rates. So if you've got any kind of website where there's a conversion that takes place, be that a transaction, be it a inquiry form, making that easier to use and focusing on usability, accessibility is just key, and it's good for everybody. So I think the good thing is that nowadays there are some just fantastic resources online. A11y provide a lot of online content that enables you to produce web content that is accessible. The web's just come a long way in general in terms of what you can do in terms of accessibility. And I think if people focus on that more, it's just good for everybody.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's good to see plugins incorporating accessibility right into the plugin so that you're not having to retrofit or figure out how to make things accessible outside of that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
What is something that you wish you had known earlier in your WordPress journey that would have made life a lot simpler if you'd only known it sooner?
Ooh, quite a few. I mean,
it's me, right? If you'd only known me sooner. I'm kidding.
If only I'd have called you earlier. I guess on my agency side with WordPress, there's a lot that we've learned in terms of kind of optimizing WordPress and making it run quicker, just kind of understanding the underlying database and indexing and stuff like that. There's a lot that we've learned over the years to make websites faster. On the plugin side, there's an awful lot. I mean, what I've learned is that the WordPress space is slightly different from a lot of conventional businesses in that it's a very fragmented community. When I say fragmented, I mean there's a lot of people in it, and a lot of different channels that you can go through to promote your business. And traditional marketing like Google AdWords and Facebook marketing and stuff like that just doesn't resonate with the WordPress crowd. What they like is community. They like people that contribute and give back to the community and help them out without any kind of financial repercussions or anything like that. And I've really enjoyed becoming part of that community and meeting people and helping people out and being involved in all types of groups online, like Facebook groups, Slack channels. I mean, I don't know how many Slack channels you've got, but I've got way too many, and I have difficulty keeping up with them. But I think that's one of the big plus sides to the WordPress community is just the friends and people that I've met. Everybody's just been genuinely awesome. And I love now going to WordCamps, and I'm relatively new to it. Even though I've been using WordPress for 10 years, I was really a user for a lot of years and didn't really get involved in the WordCamp side of things. But over the past kind of 4 or 5 years, just going to those and meeting people, and it's really nice to go to an event and see people that you've met before and give them a big hug. And everybody helps everybody out in whatever ways they can. So if I could go back 5 years, I would have focused on that more so than on my traditional kind of marketing knowledge that I try to bring to my plugin. But yeah, now that I've done that, I'm really pleased with the way things are going. So
Well, we're glad to have you in the community too.
yeah.
Absolutely. When you think back, you mentioned WordCamps. When you think back over WordCamps, meetups, State of the Word, different WordPress events that you've participated in, is there a moment, a talk, meeting somebody, hearing somebody talk in the hallway, whatever it was, that was kind of like an inspirational or pivotal moment for you? And if so, tell us what it was.
I think recently, what has been a surprise, I guess, I don't know if it's a surprise really, but has been nice, has been going to events like, for example, you and I went to Oklahoma and we were at the Post Status event. And it was really nice to meet fellow plugin developers, some that were very established and some that were very new to it. And it was, for me, rewarding to give knowledge to the newer plugin developers, some knowledge to help them along their way, because they were in the same position I was 4 or 5 years ago. Where do I get that first sale? Where do I find that first customer? So, and then also on the flip side, meeting some people there that had established plugins, talking to them and realizing, hey, you know what, you're actually on the right track. You're not way outside of where they currently are with their business. So that was that particular event in Oklahoma to me was quite pivotal. It was a great event to meet people at, and then just along the way, meeting certain characters. I mean, I've become pretty good friends with Bob Dunn, Bob WP. He's just a great character to hang out with, and for me, that's more of a kind of just a friend relationship now than anything to do with promotion. It's just nice to meet these people on the way, and yourself, of course.
Of course.
You have just been, I don't know how you do it. You have so many contacts, so many people that you know, so many people that respect you, and you've just been a great person, a great resource to go to whenever I've got a question. There's somebody Michelle knows that can help out. So
well, thank you. I love being a resource for people, and I think people are like that. They like that, so it's good.
Yeah, and you're a resource in a lot of good ways, in the community stuff that you do, and that's it's great to see. And you've definitely steered me in my product and where I should focus my time. Like the whole accessibility thing and things like that have been definitely influenced by what you do. So
thank you. Happy to have helped in any way.
Yeah, there you go.
So you had this agency that wasn't on WordPress and then was on WordPress. How do you go from having an agency to developing such a robust form plugin? Like what was the leap from one to the other?
So obviously over those years you develop a strong team of people that can develop very, very good product. We, as well as developing websites, we would develop intranets, systems integrations, and all manner of things. And I think all those skill sets came together into WS4. We developed WS4. We sat down around a table and I said, look, I want to get back into the licensing space because I had the licensing business before that, and decided a WordPress plugin would be a good way to go. Obviously, the plugin market in WordPress in general is just saturated. I mean, there's 50,000 plus plugins out there, or something, maybe more. And we took the crazy plunge to look at the form plugin market. And the reason we did it was we were building some quite complex forms for customers, more so than your regular contact us form, and found it cumbersome. We found it time consuming. We usually had to install 2, 3, 4 plugins to get it to do what we wanted to do, and thought there's got to be a better way of doing this. So that's where the whole plugin thing suddenly came from. What we thought would take 6 months is still going on 4 years later. It's an incredible amount of work, but we've had the advantage of being able to build the plugin from ground up later on in the day, and we're able to do simple things like not using WordPress tables. We're using separate tables for our data and everything. Just there's an awful lot of stuff that we've done that we believe is better than what's currently out there, that's really where it came from, was just wanting to improve our process on building forms. We found testing forms cumbersome. When you've got a form with 50 to 100 fields on it, having to fill that out over and over again just takes a lot of time. So we built tools to improve that process. And now we use the product ourselves on the own agency work that we do. So, and delighted to have lots of customers that now use it. And we listen to that customer feedback all the time to continue to improve it.
And I think anybody that's been in the WordPress space for a while has used more than one form plugin along the way, right?
Yeah.
So I have used many form plugins over the years, and I've liked, plugin A has this quality, plugin B has this quality, plugin C does this, and the others don't. And finding one plugin that kind of, ticked all the boxes that I need on a regular basis is what I did discover in WS Form, which is wonderful, and which is why I'm using it now on so many sites. I haven't gone back and retrofitted sites yet, but it's coming. It's coming. But it is one of those things that I can, say as somebody who's used WS Form, truly appreciate the work and the energy and the effort that you put into it. Okay. So thank you for that. Yeah. I love the scalability that you can. Responsiveness, so you can set them your breakpoints, which you don't see on a lot of different forms. And this might sound silly to you, but like the very first form I ever built with WS Form automatically put in the GDPR box, and I was like, I never would have thought of that as an American, and to have that be something. Yes, you could turn it off, but why would you? But to have it just be automatic, so you don't even have to think about the fact that you're making the statements that you need for that. So so thanks for all the work that you put into that, for sure.
Yeah, I think the GDPR stuff is important. We're one of the only form plugins that ties in with the GDPR functionality built into WordPress, because WordPress does have data export and data erasure functionality built into it. So we've tied in with that. And then just the whole accessibility thing as well, just making sure that's an integral part of the product. So with that, we've made sure that all the ARIA tags are in there. We've also given the ability within the product to modify those ARIA tags to basically to give you the opportunity to modify the labels that are seen on things like screen readers to make sure that they're understandable. Accessibility is ultimately down to the web developer. So we've given the tools to be able to do that. And
absolutely. The first time I ever needed a function that wasn't just in a regular plugin, I needed, I was building a site for a realtor. And they were trying to recruit other realtors. It was a brokerage. They were trying to recruit other realtors. And they wanted to have a form on there that did calculations, so that you could say, put in what you earned, what you sold, all of the figures that you did last year, and we'll show you how much more you would have made with us. And I had no clue how to do that with any of the forms that I had. Now, I didn't know about you yet, but I did learn Ninja Forms did that. Well, Ninja Forms doesn't exist anymore. It's been sunset. But so the first thing I asked you,
Caldera has, but not
thank
Ninja.
you. Sorry, because they Ninja bought Caldera Forms. I apologize. I love you, Ninja Forms. You're my friends too. But yes, Caldera Forms did that, and so the first thing I asked you is like, I don't have a need for this anymore, but does WS Form do that? And you're like, yes, it does. And I was like, sweet. If I ever build another one of those websites, I am set.
Yeah. We have all the calculations built in, so you can do all manner of calculators for your website. Some people call WS Form an app builder, not a form builder, just because of the amount of stuff that it can do. And I think that's, one of the things you were asking me earlier on about what would you do, if you went back now, what would you focus on? Another thing would be, and I hear a lot of plugin developers and company owners say this, is to really decide what your niche is. What is the niche that you focus on? And I think for us, it's very much developers that are building more than your kind of conventional contact us form. Yes, it can do a contact us form. Yes, it could do a newsletter sign up. We have integrations with 65 plus third parties for pushing data to MailChimp and everything else. But when people really see the power of WS Form is when they're building something quite complicated, and that might be a calculator. It could be a calculator that's specific to a certain business. It could be a form that has a lot of hiding and showing of information, and that's where it really comes into its own.
Yeah, it's pretty robust. Absolutely. So yes, highly recommend. Absolutely. As you know, because I've had you talk to some of my friends who had questions when they were working on WS Form. Because I'm like, you have to try this. They're like, I have this question. I'm like, let me ask him. It is good to be connected.
Yeah.
Let me move into our rapid fire questions. As
Oh
I
my
always
goodness.
say, I will ask them rapidly. You take your time to answer them.
All right.
What are 2 to 3 must-have plugins that you would recommend to somebody building their own website?
I would say an SMTP plugin to ensure that your email deliverability works well. That's always a sticking point with any form plugin, not just WS Form, but just because you've got a form plugin installed, be it WS Form or any other one, doesn't necessarily mean those emails are going to send. So there are some great SMTP plugins out there. Would definitely recommend looking in the plugin directory at some of the better ones out there. Security plugins. Won't name any in particular, but there's some great security plugins out there that can really help you and prevent you being attacked on all manner of level. A third one, I mean, for me, I always install a custom fill plugin when I'm building a WordPress site. There's inevitably going to be a need to add something to a post or a custom post type. And there's 4 that WS Form integrate with. I'm very familiar with all of them: ACF, Metabox, Pods, and Toolset. All of them are great in their own right. So they've got some great functionality in there. Pods is free, and a lot of the others have free versions as well. So that's one that always gets installed by me by default. And I guess a fourth one would be an SEO plugin. Just great to be able to enter in all the SEO elements that you need for each page to make sure that your site is found well by search engines. So, and again, there's quite a few of those out there now. So, again, won't name any in particular to favour anybody, but that's another one that always gets installed by me.
There you go. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Excuse me. At any point in your WordPress journey, business journey too, if you want to kind of go back through either side of the things you've done, have you had a mentor, whether it was an official mentor or somebody that kind of you could ask questions of, you maybe wanted to emulate or learn a lot from in the industry, and who was it?
I would say my mentors have been people that I've employed, just people that I've worked with. I've never wanted to, be the be all and end all boss and not take anybody's advice. And I've always wanted to listen to people and learn what they do. Particularly web developers that I've hired, they've brought in new knowledge to the company that has been advantageous. I had one guy that worked for me that said, "Hey, I want to go on this thing called a WordCamp." And I'm like, "What's a WordCamp?" And off he went, came back with all this knowledge, and learned a lot from him that way. So yeah, I think my mentors have just been anybody and everybody that I've worked to, and I think it's important to keep an open mind and listen and learn new things. And I also think it's important sometimes not to jump into new things. It can sometimes derail the way that you're going. Sometimes you'll work with people that, we should do it this way, and maybe we shouldn't do that. One example of that was there was a lot of buzz once about AMP, and I'm glad that we didn't invest a lot of time into it, because it's now essentially a kind of a die-in system. So yeah, I think it's wise to listen to some people and sometimes take other things with a pinch of salt. But yeah, so those are who my mentors would be, just people that I've worked with.
Excellent. Well, who is somebody in the WordPress community that you admire, and why?
Obviously Matt. I mean, he's just amazing in everything that he's done, and was delighted to go to State of the Word to see him with you and a bunch of other WordPress community friends, and just I love to listen to him speak and just listen to the direction that he's taken WordPress. He gets a lot of flack, about Gutenberg and stuff like that, but I can see the long-term future with it, and I think it's fantastic. I'm really excited about the stuff that I'm starting to see now. I was on WP Bills with Nathan Wrigley earlier this week, and we were talking Gutenberg. We were talking about being able to export block themes and things like that. And it's awesome just starting to see all these tools come together that we've been talking about. And it's a huge project, huge undertaking. So I think those that are patient are going to see some great things from Matt and where he's steering things. There's a lot of people I admire in the WordPress industry. Yourself, Bob, Nathan, just so many people that I've met that I admire in lots of different ways. Just they've built fantastic audiences. They've built a lot of respect, and I just have a lot of respect for what they do. So, yeah.
Excellent. What is something you want to learn in WordPress, but that you haven't tackled yet?
So there's a lot around WordPress blocks that I want to learn. And for me, so obviously we had to build a Gutenberg block back in the day when Gutenberg came out. So that was a lot of learning React and things like that. So there's a lot more around that I want to learn. There's a lot of features that I see in blocks now that I'd love to offer in WS4. So that's going to be a learning curve for me, just because we've had to rebuild the block for WordPress twice, just because they've improved the way that you write a block in WordPress. So we wanted to make sure we were using the latest code. And every time I do that, it's another learning curve. But I'd love to learn about it. And so I think that's currently my focus, is learning ways that we can become more integral with Gutenberg, with the layout editor in WordPress, and we're still very much involved with Elementor, Bricks, Oxygen, all the other site builders. But I can see more and more people are going to start adopting the full site editing and stuff. So that's an area that I want to get more involved in and learn more about.
Very good. What's the biggest WordPress mistake you've ever made, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
I know. I thought it up myself.
That's why you asked it. It would probably involve data loss at some point. As to where that was, I don't know. Probably early on days when you didn't really understand the whole database structure and stuff, and just made a big mistake with it. But there's been all kinds of instances like that over the years. You're learning the product, you hit a wrong button and have to go back and recover data. So that's really been the biggest headaches I've had over the years. It wasn't necessarily WordPress related, but I remember back in the days in my business, we got the contract to do the auction for the Millennium Dome in London, which was built for the 2000 Millennium Party. And after a year, they decided to sell everything in the dome. And we chose a platform that just could not handle the traffic that was coming through, because the day before, a national newspaper published the website address that we had, because they were selling these plasma screens that were in the event, and everybody wanted these plasma screens because they were worth, back then, probably $10, $15, $20,000 for these screens. Something now that we buy in Best Buy for $300. But the whole site crashed. It was just an absolute disaster. So scalability is something that I learned very quickly after that. That was 20 odd years ago. But so yeah, I think there's been a few times over the years where scalability has been a challenge. So I've learned a lot about that over the years.
I can understand that very, very much. What's your proudest WordPress moment?
I think probably getting my first customer on WS4 was, for me, a proud moment. It was like, you've built something and someone's prepared to part ways with their hard-earned cash on it. So yeah, I think getting a first customer in any business is a great moment. And I'd say that was probably one of my proudest moments. I think another is just like launching a significant product, a significant website in WordPress, and realizing what it can really do. There's been some fairly big companies that we've worked with over the years, and to be able to build these systems and launch them has always been a proud moment to get it live and see it working well and making money for that customer. So
okay,
yeah.
now the next three are the fun questions. If you weren't working in technology, web technology, any of that, what's another career that you might like to attempt?
Something craft, something that I would use my hands to do. I love putting things apart and learning how they work. I love making things, but it's never been anything that I've been able to make a career out of. So I started coding when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I've been doing it ever since. So it's funny, when I left school, I went to university and I pursued a career in electronic engineering because that's what my dad did, and I just wanted to do what my dad did. And I realized after about 2 years that I didn't like electronic engineering. And I didn't like the math behind it. So but I really enjoyed making stuff. You know, I like making circuit boards, I like making robots and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, I think if I was to do a different career, it would be, I mean, just imagine working for someone like NASA or somebody like that would be so cool. But yeah, I think I'm too far down my career to change right now. I'll stick to coding, and
you could have a retirement career as like the Walmart greeter or something, where you just can be happy and say hi to people all day long.
I'll be like Forrest Gump. I'll just mow lawns all day long. I'll be quite happy doing that, listening to music.
There are days when I think, if I could just not do anything, that would be okay too.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to retire.
No, I don't think I will either. What's something on your bucket list?
Ooh, lots of places I want to travel. Love traveling. Going to Porto was, a place I always wanted to go. So that was great. WordCamp EU, so much fun. Beautiful city. So I wish I had. That's kind of a long-term aim for me, is to have more time with the family, more time. We all love to travel, so just more time to travel and see the world, and also see more of the US. I'm ashamed to say I've not even seen Niagara Falls or anything like that. I've been to a lot of states and done all kinds of stuff all over the US, but there's a lot of just cool stuff. US is amazing. There's so much cool stuff to do here. I want to do more of that. So yeah, lots of places to visit on my bucket list for sure.
Bring the family to Niagara Falls. I will show you around, because
there you go. You can
practically in my backyard.
So I don't fall into the tourist trap. And
but the tourist traps are some of the most fun parts.
Yeah.
Show us or tell us about a hidden talent you have that the WordPress community might not be aware of.
A hidden talent? All my talents are programming related. I don't know. Play a little bit of piano now and then. I'm not very good at it, but I love making music. It's just another. I mean, I guess that's another bucket list thing. It would be to be able to spend some time. I love like sequencing music and putting music together, but I just never have time for it. So I guess that's a little talent that nobody knows about. But
you're a DJ at heart.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit of a clubber at heart. I spent several nights in Porto at some nightclubs, and people see a side of me that they've never seen before if they come clubbing with me, for sure. So, but I was my university days were in Brighton in the UK, which is just a massive clubbing town. So, but I love all genres of music. But
that's great.
Yeah, if you get me in a club and I've had a few beers, that's it. I'm off.
Well, no, that's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
No,
you don't want to see it.
That's so funny. How do people find you online? So how do they find WS Forum? How do they find Mark Westguard if they have questions or want to learn more?
Yeah, they can go to wsforum.com. There's a contact us form in there if you want to get in touch with me. You can find me on Twitter at Westguard. That's WESTGUARD. And the Twitter handle for WS Form is WS_form.
And if you are listening to this and you're not able to write that down quickly, just go to WPCoffeeTalk.com, find Mark's episode, and all of those links will be in the show notes for sure. Mark, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today before we wrap up this episode?
No more quick-fire questions, please.
That was the last one.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. It's been fantastic, and I
Well,
look forward to seeing it on the website.
well, thank you for agreeing to do this a second time after I lost the first version. So
Don't press delete this time. Okay?
I promise. I promise. I've already saved a folder for this file, so I move it immediately after it uploads. Thank you so much. We'll see everybody on the next episode of WP Coffee Talk. Bye.
Bye.